Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to run through who I think are the top 5 most likely vice presidential picks for Joe Biden. Starting off at number 5 here, the governor of the state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. All of the individuals that I have on this top 5, all female candidates. Almost certainly Joe Biden is going to be picking a woman as his running mate. Winning the state of Michigan, super important if the Democrats are going to win the presidency in 2020. Whitmer had success electorally in the state of Michigan statewide in the 2018 midterms, winning that governor's race by double digits. And with her on the ticket, it increases their chances in winning in Michigan and perhaps in some of these other Midwestern states. Also, Gretchen Whitmer endorsing Joe Biden before the Michigan primary took place. Perhaps another indication that she's trying to throw her hat in the ring there, maybe being a potential option there for Joe Biden to keep in mind as a running mate. So we'll see. But right now I have her at number 5 on the list. Number 4, I have Stacey Abrams, another Democrat that ran for governor in 2018. However, Stacey Abrams came up just short, but in a bit more of a red state there down in the southeast in Georgia. But people might not realize Georgia actually a bit more competitive than a lot of those other southeastern states that are in and around Georgia. And the reason why Georgia is so competitive, it has a bit higher in the way of population, very diverse state. The areas in and around Atlanta and the suburbs of Atlanta have been trending towards the Democrats, which are making those statewide races a bit more competitive. Abrams coming up just short against Kemp in 2018. And with how Georgia has been trending, there's 2 interesting Senate races that are going on in the state in 2020 that could be worth keeping an eye on. And if Joe Biden and the Democrats are able to pick up a state like Georgia, it would almost guarantee that they would lock in getting enough electoral votes to pick up the presidency, and perhaps having Abrams on the ticket could get them in that direction where they're possibly able to go on and win that southeastern state. So moving on to number 3 here, the most progressive individual on this list, Elizabeth Warren. And actually, if Joe Biden picked Elizabeth Warren, I think that she could potentially have the most positive net impact on Joe Biden getting more in the way of turnout, especially from the more progressive wing of the party. And we've actually seen this. A recent poll came out showing different vice presidential options, and if you'd be more or less likely to vote for Joe Biden. And with Elizabeth Warren as a choice, it boosted his numbers by more than the other candidates. And part of this can also just be the fact that Elizabeth Warren was a woman who was running in the Democratic primary in 2020, who had more success than any of the other women candidates that were running for that, being on top of the ticket there as president. And she has that vast network of fundraising that she showed she could do with the small dollar donations in 2020, having that email list, adding all that in to the equation. Her ability to fundraise could help, and also just having someone on the ticket that has shown she can put together a lot of very progressive plans. I think that it would be a good choice for Joe Biden, but I'm very skeptical that Joe Biden and his team is going to go in the direction of picking somebody on the more progressive wing of the party. Actually, a while back, we also had Joe Biden saying that he thought Elizabeth Warren, it's very important for her to be in the Senate. They don't want to lose that Senate seat from the state of Massachusetts. So kind of giving us an idea that maybe he wouldn't be going in that direction. But that was a while back now. Maybe they've changed their mind. Maybe they've seen some of the numbers that have come out and showing that Elizabeth Warren could be a solid running mate. But at this point in time, I have Warren there at number 3. So number 2, I have Val Demings, probably the lesser known of the 5 individuals that I have on this list. But given what's going on in the country right now, she was in law enforcement, so that could be a positive here. African-American woman. She's a congresswoman from the state of Florida. Perhaps that helps Biden in the state of Florida and generating more enthusiasm, particularly among the African-American voters, which go heavily for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party in general, trying to get a bit more enthusiasm and excitement from that wing of the Democratic Party, like the party was able to do in 2008 and 2012 with Barack Obama at the top of the ticket. Perhaps Demings is somebody they want to go with. Being a congresswoman from Florida, maybe it makes a difference in them winning Florida. And if Biden and the Democrats go on and win the state of Florida, it probably almost guarantees that they would go on and win the Electoral College. So that's a name that probably less people know than the other names on this list, but one to keep an eye on as a potential option. And then number 1 on this list, I have Kamala Harris. And not necessarily the most strategic pick in terms of the fact that Kamala Harris is a senator from California. California is going to be going to the Democrats no matter who Joe Biden picks as VP. But the reason why I think Kamala Harris has such a great chance to be picked as the running mate, as my top choice here, or the most likely probability of Kamala Harris being picked is the fact that there's a lot in the Democratic establishment who wanted Kamala Harris to be on top of the ticket in 2020. She did not run a successful campaign, bowing out relatively early on, just given how weak her polling numbers were. Actually, after the first debate is when she had her big rise, but then after that point in time, continued to fade back. But what I think is the Democratic establishment who wanted Kamala Harris to win in 2020, I think they want Joe Biden to kind of groom her as the VP, where then she can run for the party in 2024. I think that's a big reason why Kamala Harris might be selected there as the vice president this time around, so then she can run on top of the ticket in 2024. And then if she is the VP option here in 2020 and the Democrats win, then probably more or less would vastly increase her chances in a 2024 primary situation. So something to keep in mind in that manner. So those are the top 5 options that I think here are going to be potential VP picks there for Joe Biden. I'd love to hear your guys' comments, speculation on who you think he's going to pick down in the comments section below. I appreciate you stopping by. Consider subscribing, and I'll catch you back here next time.